Assalamu alaikum. This is the third of these talks on Islam, Iman and Ihsan. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ahl-bayt al-kiram wa ashabihi mukhlisin mutabaihim wa awliya Allah salihin wa ulama muttaqin wa shuhada mutahharin wa jami' mashayikhina murabbina mashidina ila Allah ta'ala. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Rabbi ishrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli wa amma ba'd. So I tried it took longer than I thought really to deal with Islam 101, which was actually took up almost all of the first two talks, and concluded with the story of Hajj and what Hajj was about and so forth. We went over the Shahada, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. We went over the Salat, or the prayers, the 5 daily prayers. We went with the monthly fasting of Ramadan and the yearly paying of the Zakat, which is the 2.5% of one's excess, and with the Hajj to the house of Allah, and described some of the historical precedents behind making the Hajj. So these, again, in understanding Islam, as I mentioned earlier, all of these things are actions, and all of these actions are constituted or written for us in order to bring about peace in our beings. Given that Islam means peace, then the fruits of it are a peaceful human being, and these different acts, one of them taking part in a moment, just to say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, again, something that takes place daily in one's life, monthly in one's life, yearly in one's life, and once in one's lifetime. These are 5 actions which, if entered into in the full sincerity, bring about a person who is a peaceful, deeply peaceful human being. The next constituent aspect of Islam, since it's a 3-dimensional way of life, or deen, what we call deen, which could be translated religion, but that's kind of, religion means to bind something, but the deen has a different meaning. Dena is based upon the idea of debt. It's the debt that you owe for being alive, basically. In other words, we are given life. Many people think that life is just free, and there's nothing that you have to do in return except live the life and die, basically. But we understand that we have a debt that we're paying, and so that we call that our deen, or as I say, you can call it religion. So the deen of Islam consists mainly of actions, but the deen of Iman is a series of beliefs that have to be integrated into the human being, and this Iman is, as it were, a second step up. In other words, many people are capable of surrender, and many people are capable of doing these actions, and they always do have some result. But to take it to the next level, you have to develop this idea of Iman, which is belief. And as I said in the very first talk, that the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him and his family, described this Iman by saying, La yu'min billah hatta yuhib li akihi ma yuhib li nafsi. That nobody is really in truth a believer in Allah until he loves for his fellow human being what he loves for himself. So the basis, therefore, of this second level, and he used the word yuhib, which means he loves, and that's not gender specific, but simply to say the idea that you must love for your fellow human beings. So this idea of love, not you wish for them, or you desire for them, or you want for them, or any other word, but very specifically, and the Prophet was always very specific, sallallahu alayhi-s-salaam, and what he said, the use, the choice of the words, he says, yuhib, he loves. So love is the underpinning of Iman. There is no Iman as such without this love for your fellow human being, what you love for yourself. So with that in mind, I'll go through the different things that one must believe in from that state. The very first understanding of belief, what do we believe in? We believe that Allah exists. And we went through that at great length in the first of these talks to try to explain what we mean by Allah. A name that's not used for anything else, never was used for anything else, only means Supreme Creator. And excludes nothing, neither in time nor in space. That if you take the Hubble telescope and you look as far as you can, you take radio telescopes and you look as far as you can, all you will see is created by Allah. And if you take scopes and electronic microscopes and you look as deeply as you can into matter, whatever you see, whether you're down into the nano level of things, or you're in the microscopic level of things and looking at blood corpuscles, or any of these things, whatever you see is made by Allah. So the very first step of Iman, as it is the first step of the Shahada, is this belief that this being called Allah exists. In other words, you cannot proceed unless you believe that. So if you believe that, if you come to the belief in that, then you come to the belief that Allah also created everything, and in terms of everything that Allah created three forms of sentient beings. Sentient beings meaning conscious beings. The three forms of sentient beings. These are beings of light, which we can't necessarily see, but the Prophet ﷺ used to say that if you put your hand out like this or like this, you're touching one of them. These are called malaik, or in English, angels. So they are surrounding us at all times and in all places, because it is by their light, essentially, that we do see are angels, which are beings that are totally obedient to Allah and are totally good. Shaitan is not an angel, by the way. So I'll get to the next level of things. We understand who Shaitan or Satan or the devil or whatever you want to call that is. It's another level of being. Exists, but not an angel. Confusion in Western European or Western Christian thought about that includes European Jews and European Christians, and by extension Western Christians, about the nature of the Satan as an angel, a fallen angel, Lucifer, all of those ideas. That's rubbish. Angels are absolutely obedient and only good. That's what they are. And they serve in many, many ways in this world in which we live. They serve as healing, they serve as healers, they serve as messengers, they serve as people who come to take your soul when you die. They have many functions in the world. And some people kind of see them, but it's difficult to see them, as I say, because they're made of light. So, the second level of sentient beings, or the second type of sentient beings, are beings that are made of what are called, what we could translate into English, smokeless fire, energy beings. They're called jinn. These beings also exist. Like a simple way of understanding it, you drive a car, what powers the car? The engine. Right? Engine drives the car. All electrical apparatus, all these cameras, these telephones, computers, electricity, the whole, all of that, these are these energetic beings called jinn. And they're conscious in the same way that we're conscious. And they can also be seen in their individuated forms as well as in their extended forms. Because you can say the life of the human being, the third creature, the third sentient being that exists in the world, are human beings, us, people, nas. So these belief in the Creator also means that you believe that these beings exist, we all exist here in the world. When things get out of harmony, like what we have now, we talk about climate change. I mean, this is an imbalance between the human world and the jinn world. It's very easy to understand once you understand how this all works. All these three sentient beings live here together, cooperate together, collaborate together in the life. They're all part of life. And they're all here all the time, and there are interactions going on all the time between angels and jinns and human beings. And as you understand this, and as you go into this, and you grasp this, you see it. As I say, they try to understand why the climate, they start about, oh, the burning this. Well, but what is it? You go back to 1828 and James Stevenson, and you see that the jinn community suddenly expands, becomes very powerful in our affairs. Before there was more of a balance. As I said, when we look out this window at the beautiful James River below us, we see a world, because of the blessedness of this place, we see a world that basically existed for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 thousands of years, basically, except for the railway track and a few buildings. It looked exactly like that. Trees, river, life going on. But then there was a change that took place. And you can talk about the internal combustion engine, and you can talk what happened as a result of it, and the productivity of the human beings, and the burning of things, and so on and so forth, and all of these things. And then you reach to this point where they talk about so many parts of millions of particulate matter of the air because of the burning of carbon, and all of these things. This is the imbalance between the kingdoms of the human beings and the jinn. That's where we are now. That's what this is all about. Out of balance. All these things, for centuries and thousands and eons of years, actually work together in harmony with one another. Because many people want to know who was Shaitan, who was the devil, and so on and so forth like that. Before the human beings came to the earth, because as you remember, I told you that the human beings were basically aliens. We came from another place called the Jannah, or the garden. We came to this world. We weren't native to this world. We're not indigenous creatures to this world. But the jinns had been living here for a long time. And they had been involved in a great war between good and evil, between themselves. And among them was a prince. His name was Iblis. And he was the prince of the good jinn. And he was, as many princes are, arrogant and proud, unfortunately. And he used to hang out with the angels. And in the course of that, they came upon in this situation where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was creating this third level of being called us, the ins, the nas, the people, out of mud and water. And Allah asked this prince, said to this prince, bow down to this what I'm making. And he said, no, I won't bow down. Why would I bow down to him? I'm better than he is. I'm made of fire and he's made of mud. This is the basis of all racism. This is the basis of all nationalism. This is the basis of all intolerance. Is based upon one thing: I'm better than you are. Right? Mm-hmm. I am better than you are. I am black, you are white. I come from India, you come from America. I speak English, you speak Spanish. Whatever it is, I'm better. I'm Republican, I'm a this, you're a that. Whatever it is, that's what. If you want to know what is the essence of the devil, is I'm better than you. And therefore I can kill you, therefore I can do this, I can corrupt. Whatever it is, I can do it. So this is just a side issue. But so you know who that person is. Who is that jinn? That jinn is the one who says, I'm better than you are. And that's the message that is then transmitted, because he continues in this thing and transmits this message to people, and people are susceptible to that message. And they think for some reason the color of their skin, the shape of their nose, the place where they were born, the language that they speak, the country that they come from, whatever, they're better than them. But everybody we know are brothers and sisters, so what's better? So the only thing that's better is God consciousness. That's the only thing that makes anybody better than anybody else. So anyway, the important thing to understand, this is Allah. What did Allah create? Allah created, beside the world and all these things are different levels of beings, but in terms of beings who have consciousness and awareness, sentient beings, angels, jinns, and human beings. But we believe that. This is not any action, though. No action is required. The action is all over in the other. We already completed the action is in the act of surrender, all of those things we mentioned. This is belief. So we believe this. Because otherwise we can't explain the world. We can't explain certain things without those three things existing. There have to be angels, there have to be jinn, and there have to be human beings. Obviously there have to be human beings because we're human beings and we know we exist. But a lot of us don't know that these other things exist. But this is what we come to understand. This is our faith, and this is what we believe. They exist, and we coexist together, and sometimes we cooperate with each other, sometimes we get in each other's way, sometimes we create wars between us, all kinds of things go on, but this is what exists in the world of conscious beings. Now, further than that, we come to the next thing, is that out of these beings of this, especially now talking about the human beings, there are human beings who are what we call, and we mentioned that earlier, messengers. They are messengers. By some reason, usually that an angel comes to them or they have a superior insight, they reach to the point of an internal understanding that is greater than everybody else's. And because they do that, they are able to carry the message to other human beings so that other human beings know why we are here and what we are doing and what it's about. And on the way down, we were talking about great scientific inventions. And Brother Ali here was saying, asked us, well, what was the greatest scientific invention of the 20th century? Electricity or atomic energy? And said, no. This idea of ammonia. I said, ammonia? I said, yes, ammonia. I said, he described for us how fertilizers were made, and because the world could not sustain the amount of human beings that are living on it without fertilizers. And this man, you will tell me his name.
Haber. Franz Haber.
Was the man who invented this process whereby you could take out of the air fertilizers. So this man changed the entire world. And we can all understand that. Thomas Edison changed the entire world. Marconi changed the entire world. We don't have any problem understanding how that there are certain people who... Hitler changed the whole world. Mao Zedong changed the whole world. Churchill changed, all these people changed the whole world. One person changed the entire world. So we can understand that. But these are usually in the realm of secular and the science and all of these things. But then consciousness. So these we speak about the great messengers who came into this world, who by how that they received that message inside of them were able to give that message to other human beings so that entire people were changed. So you say that there are millions and millions of people, billions of people who read the Upanishads. There are millions and millions of people who read the Torah. who read the New Testament. They said, well, one man living in Palestine 2,000 years ago, speaking. That's all it was. Obscure? Palestine is a very obscure part of the Roman Empire at that time. One man whose entire time of teaching lasted only 3 years, completely changed the world. Not only changed the world in the time in which he lived, but has changed the world for thousands of years. You can all see that. This has happened time and time again, and as I mentioned in the early times, every nation has received one of these messengers. Explain to the people why we're here, what we're doing, how it works, what's going on, what's right, what's wrong, what's this, what's that, you know, so that you have a way of understanding, because left to yourself, you don't know. You either get it from somebody's mouth, or you open the book and you read the book, or somebody has read the book and has the thing and gives you the understanding, but your consciousness, your understanding of the world changes. And you can see the difference between those people whose consciousnesses are changed and those people whose consciousnesses are not changed. And this is a result of the messenger. Now, some of these messengers in the course of time, and we just alluded to that, have left messages. There's some people who we call them Nebis. Nebi is a messenger, but it's only messenger who is one who comes along and says, "Boom!" like this. Whoa! Everybody wakes up. Sleeping. Boom! Oh, yeah. What? I'm here. Yeah. This lasts for like this. Wake you up, like that. This is Nebi. Many Nebis. But some people, Rasul. Rasul bring message. Leave the message with the people. So you have a book like this, or like here, in here, other side. In here, like this, you have a book. You can open the book, you can read from the book, and it's all there for you. And these people left these messages for us. So this is another part of what Iman is, that we believe not only among us human beings are human beings, and there are jinn, and there's the angels, but in these human beings there are people who are these people who wake us up. You know, like Swamiji. Swamiji woke up many people in America by his teaching, for instance. Everybody can understand that. Suppose he had never come to America, none of this would be here, would it? He had to come, he had to talk, he had to live, he had to present the thing, he had to tell people, be good, do good, love all, serve all. He had to tell the people that so people would understand. He gave a message to people. And hundreds, if not thousands, maybe even 1 million people know that. But there are these beings who are world messengers who give a message which affects billions and billions of people. And they leave that message for them. So we know that, and we understand it, and we believe that. And we believe that because we know that it's so. We see that it's so. So, we have Allah, we have the sentient beings that Allah created. We have from among those sentient beings, the ones that concern us mainly, are the people. From these people, Allah has created messengers from these people, and some of these messengers have not served just only to wake people up momentarily, get them out of their torpor and their sleep, and make, that noise and make them all up like this, but also people who have left a message that lasts for thousands of years, and that many millions and billions of people benefit from, change their lives for them. So this is belief. We believe in this. This is Iman. Then we say about Iman, another thing that we know about that, since we know about human beings and we can observe human beings, life is a terminal disease. Nobody is getting out of here alive. Nobody. Nobody will, nobody has. So that we know that death, as much as life, exists. And we believe that because we see it. We see people from among us, they die. They may live a long time, some of them may live 100 years, 110 years, but eventually they die. So death is a reality. And it's not that there's two gods, the good God who makes life and the bad God who takes away life. Allah's name is Yuhyi wa Yumeet, the one who gives life and the one who gives death. One being. Because, remember back to the earlier thing of the subatomic particles, of the dur, you had your chance. Everybody gets a chance. You have your chance. I put you here for a purpose. Purpose is to remember what existed in the beginning when you saw me. Take your time. Now, another part of belief is that when Allah says that, He said, I put you into the world so that you might do this, gives the implication that you will be questioned about the fact of what you did with this life. I gave you this life, free gift. You and I, all of us, we were born from our mothers, alhamdulillah. We didn't know anything. We grew up, life went on, etc. Some people think it's for free. We think, no, it's a debt, you have to pay for it. Okay, but you have your way. Like we said, there's no ikraha, there's no coercion in this. This is the way it is. Okay. But now, look. Remember, I mentioned Stalin. Stalin was responsible for the death of some 22 million people. Mao Zedong, 16 million people. Hitler, some 8, 10, 12 million people. Or you just take a small guy, Pol Pot, 2 million people in Cambodia. Do you think, like Pol Pot, he died in his bed. He had 2 wives. One wife was sitting on one side, one wife sitting on the other side, children of this, the children of that, and he died peacefully in his bed. A failed intellectual. That's it? All the suffering that that man caused, nothing to pay for that? Could that be? Does that make sense? Is there justice or is there not justice? So we believe that there is justice because we believe that this gift that we have been given, we will be questioned about this belief. We will be questioned about this gift that we've been given. What did you do with what I gave you? What did you make of what I gave you? What did you use it for, what I gave you? This one man, he created a way of making fertilizer made life possible for billions of people. What is his reward? And what is the reward of the man who took 12 million people? So, compartment of belief is judgment. In other words, you will be questioned about what you did here. Nobody will escape what they did. What do you call this? Karma? Whatever you want to call it, in whatever language you have. It means that everything that you do is accounted for. This is where taqwa comes from. This is the third part, which I'll reach in just a minute, inshallah, about Ihsan. But you understand, once you understand that everything you do has a ramification, you can see that easily by simple things in the world. Like if you hit somebody, they go like that, and then maybe you have a black and blue. So you say, okay, hitting results in, you shoot somebody, they die, etc. Things happen. As Donald Rumsfeld used to say, things happen. So things have results, but do they just have results? No. Everything that you do, you will be questioned about. So this is part of belief. So okay, so now your question, well, what does that result in? Well, that results in, what is the result of the questioning? The result of the questioning is bliss and suffering. Bliss and suffering. Bliss, we can call it the Jannah, we can call it heaven, we can call it whatever you want, something like that, paradise. we can call suffering hell, the fire, nar, Jahannam, many names for it. Is this something that Allah created? No, this is something that people created. By how did they create it? By their actions. Allah tells us, for all the good that you do, you will be paid back and multiplied. In other words, goodness is multiplied. And he used the metaphor in one of the messages of the seed of corn. The farmer puts the seed of corn in the ground, and from this grow up, after he water it and hoe it and take care of it, come up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ears, each of which have at least 100 more of these things, 700 from this one. This is good. The good that you do multiplies like that. Whatever good you do, you will find waiting for you multiplied. This is the promise. What does that encourage? It encourages people to do good. Clearly. If I do good, not only will I get the benefit of the good here, but in terms of the future and in terms of the hereafter, I will have an abundance of good. Evil comes back to you one for one. Whatever evil you do will come back to you. Whatever evil you do will come back to you. You can be assured of it. So, if you take 12 million people's life, you will die 12 million times. You will suffer what they suffered. One for one. Whatever they suffered, you will suffer. You see? This is evil. This is hell. But who made that? Allah made that? No, you made that. You made that by doing what? By doing evil. Because messengers explain. That's why I said in the very beginning, what's an important understanding of all this thing? What is right and what is wrong. What is good and what is evil. Why is that important? Because that determines eternity for us. Because we're only given a brief time here to see what we're going to do with this. What will you do with it? Here it is. What will you do with it? This is my gift to you. What will you do with it? I have shown you myself from the very beginning. You know what I am. You've seen me from the beginning. And I told you this from the beginning. I'm going to put you in this place. And let's see what will happen. So all of that, these things that I've mentioned about, and then a further thing which some Muslims believe in, but not all Muslims believe in, which is called qadr, which is destiny. And the simple way of saying it is, did you choose your mom? Did you choose your dad? Did you even choose your husband or your wife? Will you choose the place you die? Did you choose the place you were born? This is qadr. This has nothing to do with you. You didn't know? That's what happened. That's how it happened. You were born in America. Somebody said, okay, you won the genetic jackpot. You were born in America. Yes. Yes. You could have been born in Somalia. One child dying now every 6 minutes, by the way, in Somalia. That's definitely not the genetic jackpot. That's a hard life. But how did that happen? Did you choose that? Did I choose that? No. This is qadr. Now, not all Muslims believe in that. For one reason or another, and that's a very complicated thing of what this qadr is. But the majority of the Muslims, some 80-odd% of them, they believe in this act of qadr. That there are certain things that happen to people that they don't know how it happened to people. It just, that's what it is, and we call this by this convenient name, qadr. Like that. So these are the beliefs then that go along with the actions. Allah exists, the Creator exists, that there's different forms of sentient beings with different things, that among those sentient beings and the human beings there are those who are messengers, who bring this message to us, and among those messengers there's the great world messengers who bring a message which lasts for thousands of years and affects, in some cases, billions of people. That everybody will die, and that when they die, they will be examined as to what they did in this place, and that their future depends upon having done good or having done evil, and that there's certain things that happen that you don't know how they happen or why they happen, but they simply happen. So that is belief, that is Iman. But again, underlying all of this is love. The thing that underlies, the support, the foundation of belief is love for your fellow human being, what you love for yourself. Otherwise, you can say, you're a surrendered being, yes, okay, you've surrendered. But you can't say that you really believe until you reach that, because that's the thing. So that leads us to the next, third dimension of it, which is called Ihsan. Ihsan is described in the words to say, to live your life as though you saw Allah, knowing that if you do not see Allah, Allah sees you. Live your life as though you see the Creator, knowing that if you do not see the Creator sees you. This means that since we know who is this Creator, what are the two names, the first two names that this Creator gives to itself are mercy and compassion. Mercy and compassion. That is the abiding foundation of the Creator's existence, is mercy and compassion. So you live your life as though you saw in everything mercy and compassion spread upon everything. When you live your life in that way, as I asked before, how somebody who believes in all these things, who acts in this way, who does all these things, how do they involve themselves in corruption? How do they involve themselves in lying, cheating, murdering, all these things? How do you do that? How would you do that? Because you know you're going to die, and you know when you die this is all going to be worked out. But why would you even do such a thing like that? This enlightened self-interest would prevent you from doing that. So this is the realm of Ihsan. So this means that this understanding comes to you deep inside of you. Not a policeman. We don't need it. We talk like Ramadan. This is Ramadan. We're fasting. I'm fasting. She's fasting. These two guys, we're all fasting. You guys are fasting from talking. Another kind of fasting. That's fasting, yes. We talk about fasting of the ear, fasting of the eye, fasting of the mouth, fasting of the feet, fasting of the hands. It's all. To stop doing it, because it changes the way you are by doing something out of the ordinary of what you do. The ordinary is to eat your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The ordinary is to talk, like that. This thing bring about change in awareness for you. It's fasting. Okay, I'm fasting. Now I'm talking. I've been talking now for 40 minutes. My mouth is dry. My lips are cracked. And I'm here, I'm sitting in an air-conditioned room in a very nice place. I mean, this, I'm not out in the middle of, a lot worse place I could be than here. And I'm still fasting. But then I walk by the store, or I am in the house. There's the refrigerator. And in the refrigerator, there's a big bottle, cold water. Ah, I would love a glass of cold water. But I don't drink it. Is there a policeman standing there? No policeman. No policeman standing there. This is taqwa, this is Ihsan. It means that the human being police themselves. The human being is God conscious, is aware of these things. Why he don't kill, why she doesn't steal, why she doesn't gossip, Why he doesn't listen to the gossip? Why any of these things? Why? Because we reach the point where we know that that Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is present everywhere. We don't see it necessarily. Like, remember the story of Musa, alayhi-s-salaam wanted to see Allah, and Allah destroyed the mountain. So he said, look, this is, you really want to see me? I said, well, we'll leave it at that, rather than, what it could be, to have that come down upon him. So this becomes the way that the human being, and by extension the community, regulates itself in the world for goodness. When they get this message, then they understand these things. When they live their life in this certain way, when they have these beliefs and these understandings, when they understand what is good and what is evil, what is right, what is wrong. It's like, say somebody is an engineer. Now an engineer, what they can do as an engineer? He can make a bomb. Or he can make a bridge. What should he do? Bomb or bridge? Not much difference. So what bring the person to that? When I was younger, I lived near Los Alamos, and I had young children at that time. And my wife, at that time, we have a play group for the children, so that the mothers have time off every week. The 5 mothers make a group. So every morning, go to a different mother, and one time come to that mother, you have 5 children for that morning, so you have a morning off. It's good. You get to know people too. So this is near Los Alamos in New Mexico. I meet the husband of one of these mothers. Very nice man. A nice man. We talk. He's a very good dad. Very kind to his children, like that. Attentive, careful. Not mean at all. So I'm talking to him. Hey, what do you do? He says, oh, I'm an atomic physicist. Oh, atomic physicist. What do you? Oh, I design bombs. Oh, design bombs. How do you do that? I mean, I see you, you're a nice guy, you're a dad. You have children, you're taking care of them. I mean, you go to work every day and design things to kill millions of people. Yeah, that's what I do. How? How? This is choice in life. What do you do with your life? But he don't know. Nobody explained to him. Maybe, or maybe not, I don't know. But in my heart, I think, how? How can you go to work? I asked him, how do you do that? He said, well, that's just what I do. No thought, no connection. That's the opposite of Ihsan. He has no Ihsan. He doesn't see Allah. He doesn't know Allah see him. He's free. Bomb, bridge, bomb, what, Poison, chemist can make poison, can make medicine. Why make medicine? You can make poison. What determines the one or the other? So this is a very, very important aspect of the human life to develop. This idea, this consciousness, this God consciousness, of knowing that whatever you do is seen. That there is nowhere to run, there's nowhere to escape, there's nowhere to hide, there's nowhere to go, there's nowhere to get away from Allah, because Allah is everywhere. Allah says, not only, He said, wherever you look, wherever you turn your face, you've turned your face to Allah. And He says, هُوَ مَعَكُمْ أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ. He's with you wherever you are. He said, he's closer to you than your jugular vein. So there's nowhere to get away from it. But how this consciousness enter into the human being, this is the important thing. So all of these things, like this center and these things, are an attempt, one way or another, to develop this state of Ihsan in the human being. Why bother to not talk? Why bother to fast? Why bother to do these things? To develop something inside of the human being which makes the human being aware, what we call in English, God conscious. God conscious. Because the God conscious human being, the one who has taqwa, the one who is aware of Allah, is a different kind of human being totally, in every way, than the one who does not have this ihsan. This is why in the Prophet ﷺ differentiated between these three dimensions. And like our life, which requires three dimensions, it requires all of these things. It requires these actions, requires this recognition of shahada, requires this action of constant worship every day, so many times a day of worship, doing this thing because you forget. You need to be reminded, you need to remember, you need to know. This thing of this fasting and like this, it changed the whole thing. At least this once in the year, everything goes upside down. We go to sleep at 2 o'clock in the morning, we get up at 4:30. We're eating breakfast, we have to finish breakfast by 5 o'clock, so we're eating breakfast starting at 4 o'clock, we don't eat dinner again until 8 something, and 8:30 at night, like that, everything turning upside down like that, the whole like this, everything like that, changed, all the habits and the patterns and all of these things all go upside down, and this comes that, and that comes that, and eat, not blah, all of that thing. Why? Change the way you are, to think, to see again, see your life again, imagine your life again. You need these things. You need to know that what you have is not really yours, it's a gift to you. And you have to prove it. It's an action, prove it by divesting yourself of it. Not all of it, but some part of it. No, there are widows, there are orphans, there are travelers, there are students, there are people whose hearts need to be pacified and so forth like that. They need help. You have anything extra? You have something extra? Pay them. Not give them. Give them mean, as my largesse, I give. No. It doesn't belong to you. It belongs to them. Only it's in your pocket for a while. Understand that. Understand that what came to you as a gift, it came to you as a gift. Learn part of it belongs to these people. Do this. Leave your life, leave your home, leave your thing, go away from everything, leave everything once in your life, go away from your everywhere, and see the children of Adam and Hawa. See them all, black and white, and red, and yellow, and pink, and green, languages and talking and this and that, and hang out with them and see them, eat with them, and meet with them and everything like that. And know, this is the human family. This is the human family. We're brothers and sisters. We're all related to each other. And when you're related, would you shoot your brother? Or maybe if you got very angry, but you don't shoot your brother. You cheat your brother, chip your brother, your sister. How will you do that? If you get the idea and the understanding inside of you, this is my brother, this is my sister. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. How I drop bombs on you. How I break into your house at night with guns and scare the women and take the men folk away. How I poison wells. How I destroy crops. How I spread poison. How do I do these things? Who am I doing it to? Who are the people of Iraq? Who are the people of Afghanistan? He said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Okay. So let's say 3,000 people died on 9/11. But 100,000 people have died. This is an Afghan man that's on the TV saying, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, okay, but 10 eyes for one eye? How? How? Who gave people the right to do these things? You have to ask these questions. You have to ask. You have to understand. It doesn't come free. If it's my brother, it's my sister, how I do that to them, how I make a wall, how I say, you come in, you can't come in, you go out, you go, this is my land. Oh, yours? I see. I thought this belonged to the Rappahannocks, or was it the Monacans who lived here? Whose land was this here? Monacan people, I think, lived here. No, this is my land. That's my land. You go out. You don't have no visa. What a visa? Did the Mohawks ask for visas? The Cherokee said, where's your visa? No, you go back to where you came from, sorry. But we're not thinking this way. Say, no, somebody make a line. This is America, this is Canada. I don't see, I fly sometimes to Toronto. I didn't see a line. I saw some lakes, but no line. I flew all the way from Paris to Doha. I flew over France, and I flew over Germany, and I flew over Greece, and I flew over Turkey, and I flew over Iran, and I flew over, but I didn't see any lines. But this has very large understanding of what this world is and what's going on in this world. It only comes by this understanding of the relatedness of all human beings to one another. What's exclusivity? Whose exclusivity? And the mathematicians and the economists, they figured out that if the Muslims paid this 2.5% that Allah ordered them to pay, that everybody in the world would eat. Not just Muslim people, everybody would eat. Do you think of all that oil and all that thing? Do you think they pay on that? No, they don't pay on that. Because they say there's something doesn't mean there's something. Jesus says, turn the other cheek. Tell that to George Bush. He's Christian, isn't he? Did he turn the other cheek? No. So then the person says he's Muslim or she's Muslim or Christian or Jewish or Hindu or Buddhist or whatever they may say. That's kalam, words. Where is it, the action of the beings? All of them have, that's what he said. I send messengers to everybody. Everybody knows. That's how it goes. Everybody knows. But what you do with it, how you act with it, and especially act with it when understanding that the good that you do will be benefiting you so much many more times over, and the evil will be costing you. So, I leave you with these things, to think about these things, to understand these things. Whatever your persuasion, whatever your belief, however you come to it, understand these things. Who is the devil? Who is the shaitan? The one who says, I'm better than he is. I am better than you because I'm this, that, or the other thing. I'm better than you. Are you better than me? How? And the one who do not believe that the Creator exists. If you don't believe the Creator exists, you can do whatever you like. Nobody to stop. Nobody stopped Hitler. I visited in Washington some years ago. They reconstructed his bunker. He had opened, when he took the cyanide before him on the desk, the New Testament, he was reading from it. Can you imagine? Can you imagine what place that people have reached? I can't imagine every 6 minutes this child dying and food being thrown away every day. How? No taqwa, no ihsan, no consciousness of the people, of what's happening. I leave you with this. Think about these things. Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.